So this is a video for our self-development, real estate, learning experience, 720 Florida. Take one.
So it's been 2 years since we did a flip, and this is our second one. And this one was a bit of a challenge. So before, we were working in a smaller price range. I didn't want to buy any property less than $20,000. This one we purchased it for $55,000. It was a blessing because my max credit availability was about $30,000. So I had to figure out a way to not only make up that extra $25,000 to purchase the property, but I also had to find money to rehab. And I didn't know if I wanted to buy it because of the price point, and I knew what it would sell for, which was, at that time I thought it would sell for about $75,000 or $80,000. So that's not much of a spread because my background is an underwriter, so I look at everything analysis related. So I did a full underwriting package, the pros, the cons, looked at the numbers, everything. And we even had a meeting. I made sure this time that I was not gonna lose money, and if I wasn't gonna do the deal. And so that was really important going in, knowing that. So,
Like he had paperwork that was like this.
Yeah,
thick.
at least 10 pages.
And I'm like, all this paperwork you did, I think we should move on this deal. So let's do it.
And the thing about the difference from the first deal to this deal is I wanted to create a business and not just a hobby. So in order to create a business, you have to have concrete rules, you have to have systems and processes in place, and that's why I kind of transitioned my business from that point. I read a lot of books. One of the books that stood out was Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It was a really good book to tell you how to run a business, specifically how to create systems, how to create processes, how to hire staff, and everything. And so from then I took Excel sheets, we tracked our leads, you know, we constantly tracking the ratios and all that stuff. And you know, that's what it's about. And once we came to the flip side of it, it was run the numbers, see if the numbers match. If the numbers don't work out, then move on. But those numbers are essentially what you need to back up that gut check. So,
And I'll get him to make a video in the future on how to determine what your numbers are, and if the deal is solid enough to where you should even consider moving forward on it. So that leads us into the do's and don'ts of 720 Florida. Leading us in, that means that you should do a budget. That's number one. Always keep account of your finances when you're doing a deal. Every single purchase that you make, you need to, whether you're writing it on a piece of paper, whether you're keeping all the receipts, whether you're sending the emails and printing them out, or if you have your own spreadsheet. We had to do it all because coming from the first deal that we did and how we didn't do any of that, we was like, we're going to go in and we're going to make some changes and we're going to do this the right way.
This is just by underwriting nature. What we do is we like to look at worst case scenario, so, and include everything. Worst case scenario and include everything. So when you're creating your budget off top, you want to go to the stores, you want to see how much does the 105 siding cost, how much does paint cost, and you
can also do that online.
You can do it online, but you have to, when you go into the house, even if you're just looking at pictures, you need to look and see, okay, this siding needs to be replaced, this drywall needs to be replaced, and then once you estimate, okay, these all need to be replaced, how many need to be replaced, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's.com or wherever, your flooring store, and see exactly how much that costs. If you need the flooring, walk the flooring. If it's 500 square feet, multiply that times however much you need, add 10% for your extra, you know, whatever you need to do. But try to get as accurate numbers as you can. And another thing, you want to make sure you know what your debt service is. You want to know what your budget is going to be, but you want to add a contingency in there, like 5-10%, meaning my budget is 10, but if I hit 15, I'm still okay. Yeah, so when you create your budget, you also want to make sure you know what your monthly cash flow would be both during the construction and rehab period and after the construction and rehab period. So in the case that, hey, I can't sell this property, when I refinance it, or if I can't refinance it, I personally can carry the debt service and carry the monthly payments and not default on email payments. And when you do that, you have to assume that, okay, this is what my interest period is going to be. After construction, can I carry this thing for 6 months? And even if you know you're going to refinance, because like with this one, we refinanced it in, we refinanced it in 30 days. But we didn't get everything that we thought we would get. But still, I was able to meet the monthly payments because I estimated that what if we don't get the full amount that we expect. You want to run any kind of scenario that you can think of and make sure under these circumstances I can do this deal. If all of them work out, then you should do the deal. But if not, like if my monthly payments on that was way more than what I can handle, I wouldn't even did the deal. Like,
right.
That's just how it is. It's a numbers game.
Preparation is
key. Because I'm running through this scenario. So we bought the house. We were able to get a private lender through Facebook, Bigger Pockets group. They were able to provide the 25 G's. And the seller, I did something, and of course you can't do this until you've done so many deals. You start getting creative with it. So I sent out a private seller, a note to the seller. I was like, hey, look, let's not create any liens because when I refinance it, I'll pay you back whatever I owe you. And so I said, I'll pay you back in 30 days after we close. Same thing with the private lender. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? But once again, it's one of those things where you make the commitment, you figure it out, and it happens. So we got to refinance in 30 days by the grace of God. And the seller got paid. And we didn't have, it was just a different way to structure. But that's the beautiful thing about real estate, is you can be really creative and structure deals in a way that works out both for you and for the seller. So it's a beautiful thing. But again, you got to make sure you budget, and you have to prepare, and run those numbers to make sure that that's something that you're comfortable doing. Of course,
okay.
Summarizing stuff.
Summarize, okay.
It's a challenge. We're not going to cover everything in this video about all the challenges, but the biggest thing is you're going to encounter challenges, but as you encounter challenges, you'll think of solutions. So that's just how things are. Sometimes it's hard. Like, I tell Des all the time, like, I keep my composure. She says I'm really good at, being under pressure and stuff.
Oh, but, and that leads me into number 2. He handles stress so well. With real estate, because you never know what's going to pop up, you need to kind of mentally prepare ahead of time for anything. You have to know how to maintain your cool. Don't make any brash decisions or rash decisions right in the moment, okay? Greg's really good about that. Like, he received a call and he thought that he was going. Yeah, he received so many calls. Let's just leave it at that. So many calls that I saw where he could have broke down crying, but he actually didn't.
I wanted to a lot of times.
I could tell he really wanted to cry, but he handled it so well, and we just kept on doing what we had planned for that day. And that night, I guess he thought about it, and the next morning, or even that same day, he figured it out, and we talked it out, and So you just don't, if you cry during different real estate fails or things don't work out, that's fine, but make sure you pull it back together because you got to keep going. And it'll all work out, okay?
Keep your game face on. 100%.
And number 3, this is another situation that happened involving the cabinets.
You want me to break down all the things?
Yeah, this is what we doing. Number 3.
You don't have to do the 3. There's only 5 major ones. Everything else is just whatever. Okay. So we bought the house. That was cool. Everything worked out. Private lender was the first one. I didn't know how to get it. I was like, oh my gosh, how do I get 25 G's? Boom, get a private lender. Got one. And then after that, I told him, I'll give you your money back in 30 to 45 days. Now, anybody that knows rehabs, you typically don't finish a rehab in 30 or 45 days. You don't get your money back that quick. So I bought the house at the loan balance that they owed on the property, which is about $55,000. And the guy was like, well, I want 60 or something like that. And so I was like, man, all I get you is 55 right now. But if you give me 30 or 45 days, I'll give you your 5 Gs. So luckily the seller agreed to it. And that was just a big trust thing. And this lender, they do everything old school. So you have to be there in person. You have to go there and sign the paperwork. If something's messed up, you have to go back. During this time, they never told me how much money I was going to get, the terms, anything. It was just like, okay, I'm just assuming that they'll give me 80%. They told me they'll give me 80%, 25-year AM. Perfect. These are the numbers that I ran. Perfect. It'll appraise for $75,000. It appraised for $75,000. We use 100% financing for it. I'm like, okay, we'll pay off everything. Then we could either go and look for another property, or we just use that money for the rehab. We get there, like, all right, cool. He goes sign the paperwork. And I finally look at the loan amount, and it's like 20% loan to value. It's not even 80%. And I'm like, dude, this is just enough to pay the private lender. It's not even enough to pay the seller back.
But the fact that he kept his cool the whole time, like
Dude,
when you was in there, how did you react
when
the guy gave you the paperwork?
I was so in shock. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna sign this paper. I was shocked. I was like, it was crazy. I'm just kind of taking what I'm given and just being grateful for it at the moment. Like
yeah, because he got back in the car and
I got back in the car.
I didn't even know.
Freaking out.
Well, no, you didn't even freak out. You were really calm and quiet, and you was like, okay, Des, I'll watch the kids while you go in there and sign the paperwork. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, kind of to myself, quiet. But I was like, this is not the amount that we were supposed to get.
Because I was like, dude, I drove all the way down here with my family. It was a rough trip. And I could have known beforehand how much I was going to get. Because now I got the seller texting me like, hey, when the funds will come through. So now here I am pissed off because I'm like, if I would have known I would have got that, I would have went to another lender and I would have looked around and found somebody that could have did that for me. I was just pissed off because I'm like, dude, this thing appraised for $75,000 and you only gave me $25,000. So I work for a bank, so I understand how things work. You basically giving me a crappy loan for my big asset, and in the case that I foreclose or something like that, now you control my asset, and I don't appreciate it. In the moment, I was just thinking, well, damn, I'm sorry, we might bleep that out. I was like, damn,
you're fine.
Like, golly, dude, how am I gonna pay this dude back? Like, I'm a big person on my word, especially when it comes to real estate. If I take him a close and you're gonna pay a certain price, that's what you're gonna do. If I say we're gonna pay 20 G's or 50 G's or whatever, you're gonna walk away with 50. I'll pay all the closing costs. I'll pay everything. But I try to keep my word because in this game, that's all you have. So I'm just freaking out like, man, how the heck do I do this? Like, what do I tell this guy? And riding back home to my parents' house, I'm just like super stressed, like so tense. And then finally, I got to the house. You know, it takes a little while. Sometimes you gotta cool off, get away from the situation, and your mind start thinking. And I just thought, I was like, why don't I just ask the lender to give me $10,000 more? Because they got it at 20-something%, they can give me more money than that. And so I just sent him an email and said, hey, can I get 10 G's more? He's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, and that's another tip I like to say. Always ask for more than what you expect to get, because you might just get it. That goes for negotiating to buy a house.
That's a great tip.
Negotiating to sell a house, financing, contractors, bids, whatever. Always ask for more than what you expect to get, because you might get it. And if you don't get it, you might get something closer to it. Right. Less than what.
Especially if there's a need for it.
Exactly.
Don't just be greedy with it and just get more of a loan. Like,
don't
bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, be reasonable. And so he gave me the 10 G's. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I can get it, sell it to 5, and then now I got some more money for the rest of the rehab, which that helped carry us through to the project. And luckily I had my parents to help me out just a little bit with some of the rehab, but that just by asking that question, that helped us a lot. And so that was another situation that got solved. The main one that stuck out to me, of course there was other ones. We couldn't find the flooring that we wanted, but we found some finally. Couldn't find the tile because they stopped selling it. Both, ironically, the tile and the flooring, the laminate flooring, they both were discontinued. So they only had limited supply in the whole Houston area.
His mom had to drive all the way to Lake Charles.
Yeah.
To go get the tile that we needed to.
But luckily, they had just enough for us to finish.
Like the exact amount in Lake Charles.
And it's like you can't mess up any of them because you won't have any of them to work with. So, like God put His hand on it. Like we had literally just enough tile for the backsplash.
And they did it. They made it look amazing.
They did. And so here I am. So we looked at the cabinets. I was like, you know what? If we're gonna try to sell this house for top dollar, we need some brand new cabinet doors. Now, mind you, we put the granite in already, so there's no such thing as changing the complete cabinet. So when we went back and looked at the cabinet, it was like, if we're trying to get top dollar, these cabinet doors are not what we need. And so it was too late. We got the countertops already installed, so it's like, okay, let's just do the cabinet doors, which luckily we found somebody that does custom cabinet doors. And it ran us close to about $700. I went in and did the measurements. My dad also did his set of measurements. And when we went in, I gave him my measurements. And so it was about a week and a half. And so here I am getting all excited. I'm like, yes, the cabinet's coming in. Yes, they're coming in. And we're going to be able to put the house on the market. All we got to do is paint them and put them up. And I get there, and holy crap. Dude, I almost cried. None of the cabinets fit. They were all too big. And it was my fault because I measured them. I measured the openings, and I added about 1.5 inches, which you're supposed to just measure just the openings. So really the solution is make sure you get the measurements right, and you talk to them, you double check to say, hey, this is what the right measurements are, this is how I measure it. But it's typically the cabinet openings. Just the openings. Don't add anything, don't subtract anything. It was like, okay, this is the last thing we need to do is do the cabinets. And then when we were putting them up, it was like 3 of them didn't fit. I was like, oh, not again. And the drawers, that's another thing. I got the cabinet drawers too. I forgot to send them the right measurements and tell them to adjust the cabinet drawers. So I'm like, God dang it. Now I gotta wait another week for this project. But luckily my dad came through, and maybe I just been working too long, but my dad came through. He's like, dude, you got one of them doors is on the wrong one. You gotta switch it. And I switched it, and it matched. It was perfect. And then he came through, and he was like, well, at first, you didn't see this, but he started using the jigsaw to cut into the cabinets to widen up the cabinet. And I went in and I looked, I was like, no, dude. He was like, I thought this is what you wanted me to do, is cut the cabinet open a little bit so the cabinets fell. Like, no, just cut the cabinet. I'm okay if I gotta go and get the drawers like fixed, but don't mess up the cabinets, dude. That's all we got. Lo and behold, he was able to take it apart, cut off the top and cut it to size, and we put it together, and boom, it was a great day. It was a great day.
And it's so awesome doing real estate because Greg's parents live like right around the corner from where all the houses are that we've worked on.
Purposely.
And they have so much experience with doing construction. So when we're in Houston, they're over there helping us when they can, you know, working on projects, using their skills, and we get to save a lot when it comes to them. So it's like a family business in a sense, and I really do like that, because when we all go and look at the house, everybody in some way has contributed.
I learned a lot of stuff from this project, and I'm really, really grateful for doing it. So,
And when they say to prep before you paint,
yeah,
thoroughly prep. We kind of halved it, you know, and
yeah,
we spent some time with some Goo Gone or alcohol and a scrub brush scraping up all those paint spills. So it does come up, so there is hope, but make sure you prep.
So this is flip number 2. We plan on getting at least one more before the end of the year is over with, and completing one more by the end of the year. And next year we plan on building a house to flip or one to live in. I think that covers about everything for 720.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'm gonna put it on the house on the market tonight. We're gonna get her done.
Whoop, whoop.
On to the next one.
On to the next. On to the next.